Come and have a look at this.
I'm Richard Vobes, TV's Bald Explorer, and I'm discovering Britain. Our history is what makes us who we are today, and our heritage is a celebration of what we achieved in the past. And often, when compared to modern achievements, the things we did before are, well, quite frankly, utterly staggering. I'm in Sussex, in one of the southern counties of England, and I'm in search of something praised to be one of the most elegant in Britain. Care to join me?
For man to fully achieve, he needed to travel. Not just himself, but his stuff. Stuff to sell, stuff to build things with, and stuff to make a living from. We take travel for granted these days. We moan like hell if the train's a bit late or if the bus doesn't turn up.
Roll back in time and think about our ancestors. They had it a lot tougher. I'm in the Sussex Ouse Valley, so called because the River Ouse flows through it. Rivers, of course, were one of the first methods of transporting heavy goods. What couldn't be loaded on a pack horse or on a dodgy old wooden cart could be floated on a boat along a river. And the River Ouse, from its source in Lower Beeding to the sea at Newhaven, here in the heart of Sussex, provided a wonderful solution for merchants, farmers and businessmen. Passing through towns like Lewes, the River Ouse was ideal for transporting goods to Europe or by ship around the British Isles as required. Here we see Harveys Brewery, and it was with good reason they sited the brewery by the river.
During the canal mania of the late 18th century, the River Ouse was made navigable right up to Balcombe, just north of Haywards Heath. It's in a sorrowful state now, though.
These two cottages, wharf cottages, and this bridge are the last signs of the canal on the Ouse Valley. Steam was brewing.
What the canal builders, and more importantly the investors, didn't realise was this new technology, steam power, was going to replace all the boats and the barges. In the 1840s, the railways were laying down their railroads at a rapid pace.
An important line was from London to Brighton, and several routes were proposed, but there were many obstacles to overcome. Like the canals, trains prefer a level surface to travel on, and while engines can cope with gradients far better than canals, who need multiple locks to step up or down over the uneven landscape, the route to Brighton had some specific problems. The North and South Downs, for example. Where they couldn't go round, they tunnelled through. But what happens when you come to a valley, like this one, the Ouse Valley, bisected by a river? You build a bridge, silly. And not just any old bridge, a viaduct. And here is one, described as probably the most elegant viaduct in Britain. And it's not hard to see why.
The 18th and 19th centuries was a time when architecture, in my mind, was at the height of its achievement. Never before had so many seemingly insurmountable problems been overcome, and yet with such attention to detail and the aesthetic that the new object just looked right or at home in its place in the landscape.
Completed in 1841, it spans 450 metres, just under 1,500 feet. It's a whisper under 100 feet tall, that's 29 metres in modern currency, and there are 37 semicircular arches. How many bricks do you suppose were used in its construction, and where did they come from? I'll tell you, 11 million bricks. And as to where they came from, believe it or not, from the Netherlands. And here's the irony. The railways were to replace the canals as a means to transport not only people but goods, and they did so in a short space of time. But much of the railway's construction depended on the canals and rivers to bring the building material to the construction sites. So those 11 million bricks were brought up the River Ouse from Newhaven straight to here, which you've got to admit is a stroke of genius.
Just look at this incredible feat of engineering. Yes, it is a viaduct, but it's more than a utilitarian means to span a valley. It is, in fact, a beautiful thing. With 110 trains rattling overhead every day, give or take one or two, after 155 years, the viaduct needed a little loving attention. And in 1996, with money coming from the Railway Heritage Trust and English Heritage, this Grade 2 listed building was restored, with stone coming from France to match in with the balustrades and the pavilions. And I think they've done a really good job.
But a viaduct is not a cheap thing to build. It doesn't sound much if I tell you it was a tad under £40,000, but that's equivalent to over £3.5 million in today's money. The Ouse Valley Viaduct.
It's a terrific landmark and very popular with photographers and walkers on the old Sussex Ouse Way, a 42-mile footpath following the old river.
And if you are ever this way, do pop by and give it a look. Don't forget, join me again the next time I go bald exploring. Vobes Vision.